episode of Beyond the Black Rims. I'm Mars Girl.
I'm Josh Knight the First.
And this is Season 6, Episode 23.
Or Episode 141 if you're counting.
It's good to see you, everybody. Thanks as always to the Patreon contributors at patreon.com/MarsGirl who make this show and all kinds of other stuff happen. And next week's our last episode of the season?
Yeah, season finale for this season.
Yes, and then beyond to Season 7... It's kind of a big number.
No, we don't go right into Season 7. We take a break.
Oh, yeah, of course we'll take... So, just so you guys know, yeah, definitely come out next week.
Yes.
Because that's the last time you're going to see us live for, like, at least a month.
At least.
Yeah, so we won't be back until August. But don't worry, because all throughout July and the first week or two of August, over on channelawesome.com is... basically what I'm going to consider reruns of this past season. Every other day is an episode of this show going up on channelawesome.com. So
right.
I have sort of flooded their scheduling system with nothing but our show for a month and a half.
Whatever.
So, yay! If you haven't been watching, I mean, some of the topics are a little outdated, but... yeah.
The topics may be outdated, but our rage burns on.
Yeah, I guess.
Mostly.
Well, what's going on, Josh?
I'm tired.
Yeah, 'cause you have started your new job, right?
I am happy reporting I am out of retail. I am not doing a retail job anymore.
Yeah,
For the last
yeah.
10 years running, I've been doing a retail job day in, day out, not getting anywhere with it until finally I was like, you know what? I need to step up. Make some big boy checks.
Yeah.
Got me a nice desk job. It's tiring going through training, but the check is so much more worth it. Oh my god.
That and, actual benefits.
Actual benefits, 5 weeks paid vacation. I get a 3-day weekend.
Yeah, you immediately start up, and, July 4th weekend July 4th is a paid day off. That's pretty fantastic.
Yeah. And I get my nights off, too.
Yeah.
Like, no more of this closing everything down, waiting for somebody to leave the store crap. Like, I get to go home at a reasonable hour.
Sounds good to me.
Waste my time playing It's not a waste. It's not a waste. I love playing Overwatch.
Yeah. Overwatch is fun.
Yes.
When I manage to play with other friends, Overwatch is fun. Otherwise, it's just not my thing to play a shooter by myself.
No, I get that.
It really is.
It's all about the competitiveness and the team aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
Admittedly, for the past week or so, I've been playing with friends finally on PS4, and that's been very helpful and relaxing from long days at work.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from that, what else have we been doing?
Well, we had our 2-year anniversary, you and myself.
Yeah, that's
married.
Right. That's true.
Which I bring that up because just today, so nice of Destroyer Hero, whom I'm not sure whether or not he's in here right now, but
he's in here most nights.
He is here frequently. So he sent us anniversary gifts, copies of Ostatakai Oendan, and then Moero Neketsu Rhythm Damashi Ostatakai Oendan 2.
The first one, part 2.
Yeah, the first one, part 2. They're both rhythm games, and you might be more familiar with their American counterpart of Elite Beat Agents, which is the exact same game, but they thought it was really more Americanized, so that was nice. He also sent you...
I don't know if you guys can see, this is a tiny little Kamen Rider Gaim orange arms. It's like a little
and he's very orange.
He's very, very orange.
And also, finally, along with that box, and I suppose this makes sense, is the Super Mario Amiibo, the Japanese one, in fact, which is kind of cool. The 30th anniversary Super Mario. It makes sense. Anniversary. Also, we're both 30.
That is true. Yeah.
I don't think he was counting on that.
No, that's kind of a stretch, but hey, we're making it work.
This is our one and only Amiibo that we have.
With our non-existent Wii U.
Yeah, but it's kind of nice, actually. It was one of the ones I had my eye on, like, if I was going to collect Amiibo,
then that was the one. Yeah, I remember you talking about that one.
Mm-hmm. That and woolly yarn Yoshi would have been nice, too. Just because they're kind of different and interesting, So that is so cool. Thank you so much. And also, which surprisingly came today, I was just holding it in my hand. There we go.
Just put it on the bottom there.
Other people were getting it before the cast members were, but here I finally was sent by Louis Linkara my own copy of the Atop the Fourth Wall movie. Yay!
You're on the cover.
I am. Yeah, I am on the cover. I've been on the cover of pretty much all the Channel Awesome related DVDs at this point. So
yeah,
that's kind of cool. So that's another thing that showed up for us today. Yay! So all kinds of cool stuff is happening, and I want to thank, like 3 minutes before the show started, our good friend Riddle Panda has subscribed to the channel.
Yay!
Thank you so much.
You did cowbell.
Yay, you get cowbell.
Oh, there's Destroyer. He's in here.
Hi,
Thank
Destroyer.
you.
Yay, good to see you as always. So, is there anything else to talk about before we move on to like actual follow-up?
I'm trying to think of everything else we could talk about that's not show related. We still haven't found Ecto Cooler. We're searching.
Mm-hmm.
We get closer to the movie every day, and we still haven't found it. We see people online posting, "Hey, I got mine."
It seems to be in the Northeast and North Central, kind of Chicago area. People seem to be finding it.
But it's a drought. It's a drought down south.
I know for a fact they are selling it at Cinemark theaters here in the city, but they're going for $3.50 a can, and that does not seem worth it to me.
No, especially when we're
I
looking
really
at some
do not.
places where they're selling a whole pack for what, $2?
Yeah.
Or something like that. Like, no, I don't think I can bring myself to do that just yet.
Yeah.
Probably when the movie comes out, if we happen to see it at a participating Cinemark theater, then yeah, night of, at the movies, yeah, I'll totally go in for it. But right now, no, I'm going to wait until I actually find it for a reasonable price at like Walmart or somewhere and then pick it up.
Yeah, I hear you.
Because otherwise, no. You know what? I am afraid of price gouging. That's what I'm afraid of.
Exactly. I'm not going to be paying $3.50 a can. That seems outrageous to me.
Yeah.
Okay, no, seriously, what are we talking about today? We've got stories, right?
We got stories. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk to you guys about what we're talking about tonight. Mm-hmm. So first up, as some of you might have seen, Independence Day Resurgence opened wide this weekend. Wide and shallow. It didn't really make that much. Director Roland Emmerich is talking about how they're totally setting up a sequel, which they do in the movie, but based off the numbers and based off the critic and fan reaction, we're going to talk about whether or not that's actually going to be feasible. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we'll try not to give out too much information about the movie. Of course, you can ask us about that after the show, but that's our first story.
Right. Second story is in regards to a comic adaptation of a Vampire Hunter D short story that was never officially published, but really was written. It's getting Kickstartered into a comic for North America.
Yes.
And it seems kind of interesting, so we thought you guys might like to be aware of it.
Yes, and then our third story, which I was just barely made aware of maybe 3 hours ago. I didn't even realize this is a thing. So are we streaming on Twitch right now?
Not right now,
okay.
No.
But
I stream every Monday and Tuesday.
Alright, you stream every Monday and Tuesday on Twitch, which makes sense for gaming.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are starting to do it for more creative things, like prop making, costume making. That totally makes sense. I watched some people do that myself. What I didn't realize was a thing is that social eating. Watching somebody eat a bucket of chicken.
That's because this was only a thing like 2 days ago, so...
But how are there so many people doing it so quickly?
Well,
that's what I don't get.
I will tell you about it, Josh, but you gotta wait till the end of the show.
Okay, I guess.
Okay.
I don't even.
Yeah, alright, well...
I can't even.
Well, there are some people that do, and I will tell you about them later on in the show.
Alright, fine.
Okay. But you do have follow-ups before
Yeah,
that,
we
right?
got follow-ups.
Okay.
Hey, so like we're getting towards the end of the season. I thought I'd bring back an old friend for you.
I really wish you wouldn't.
It's not my call. Not quite Justice League. Get it up there.
How is this a thing?
Because unfortunately, just 2 days ago, the digital copies of Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice were released online everywhere. For anybody to get a hold of. In the extras for the DVD, we actually got our first clear look at what the fully formed Justice League in full-blown Justice League will look like, and we have a picture of them all together.
Oh, we do?
Yes. You just scrolled past it.
What? Oh, I guess it's this?
Yes.
I guess...
Okay, so there you can see, of course, the 6 members of the Justice League that we'll be seeing in the movie. Of course, from left to right, Aquaman, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, and Cyborg. I don't know if you can make that any bigger or not, but...
It's difficult, but...
We'll give it a shot. If you look at the costumes, most of them are what we've already seen in this most recent movie and Not Quite Justice League. The one that's interesting to me is if you take a look at Cyborg there, he's showing a lot more regular like skin than I thought he would, and his face isn't nearly as covered up. The Flash, they say he's going to have a lot more technical looking outfit than what we see here, so that one's probably the most changed from the concept art. Otherwise, everybody else, we've seen them in costume, both from the last movie and now set pictures are coming out from the filming of full-blown Justice League. So we have that to compare it to.
I just sort of feel like it looks official-ish, but still fan art-y to me. Like,
well, yeah, because it's concept art.
Yeah,
mostly.
yeah, I'm not feeling it.
Although I do think, specifically with Superman and Wonder Woman, that's art that they did use for the release of Not Quite Justice League.
Okay.
Yeah, so get that out of here. Alright, we're done with that. Alright, so on to some other odd Batman news. So we talked to you guys a bit back in the follow-ups, a couple shows back, about Return to Arkham, which was going to be this HD remaster of the Arkham games, Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. That has been postponed indefinitely.
Okay, why?
I no clue. I mean, I didn't think it would be that hard to remaster those things. I mean, it seemed like a pretty easy fix, but we're not getting them.
Alright.
Alright, whatever. Okay, moving on to some interesting Flash news over on CW. So today, the CW announced that a new cast member will be joining The Flash this next season. Harry Potter star Tom Felton, because everybody knows is Draco, will be joining the show as part of the CCPD, who suspects Barry Allen of not telling the entire truth about who he is.
Okay.
No more further word on that, just that he is going to be a series regular, so you'll pretty much be seeing him every week.
Okay, interesting.
Interesting casting there. Let's see, moving on to some... Let's go to the Marvel news. Alright, so, of course, we've got San Diego Comic-Con coming up in a few weeks. Everybody getting really prepped for that. Marvel announcing they will, in fact, have some stuff to present there. The biggest thing that they're going to do is really push their Netflix series, and the next one coming up being Luke Cage. So there's going to be 2 separate panels for that, for Luke Cage, to get to know for the fans to get to know the cast, give out some more info. Very much looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with that before the series premieres in November. Moving on to the movie news. Of course, Spider-Man Homecoming is filming as we speak right now.
That's pretty
we
cool.
have a picture on set of Tom Holland in the costume. A lot of people now who have seen Captain America Civil War note that for the most part, Spider-Man was primarily done in CG.
Right.
In order to make up for movement. But here we actually have a picture of Tom Holland there on the set in a cloth costume.
I do not know where that picture is. Yeah, I do not know. Okay, there it is.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so there we have Tom Holland there on set. It looks a little bit loose on him, surprisingly.
It'll be tightened up in post, I can guarantee it.
More than likely, that makes a lot of sense, but I'm just wondering why they would let it be that loose to begin with, compared to every other rendition we've seen up till now, even how tight it looked on him in Civil War.
Because that was still CG in Civil War.
It
will be CG touched up by the end of it.
Oh, well, I guess that'll make up for it. But yes, there's some pictures of him running around with the Spider-Man costume, with his backpack, like everybody figures, broken iPhone. He's not balling, as the last movie very much made a fact of. But looking forward to seeing how that goes when Spider-Man Homecoming comes out later next year. Okay, so moving on to some Ghostbusters news, specifically talking about this reboot. So we got treated to that awful version of...
Ghostbusters.
I don't know if that you can even call it that because it was just noise. But interestingly enough, Sony Japan released a Japanese cover of the song, which we just heard yesterday.
Yeah.
Which just sounds like a more electronic version of the original theme, just a little pitched up, but it sounds perfectly fine.
Well, and it's being performed by 4 Japanese women.
Yes.
And it's being performed in Japanese.
Yes.
Let's get specific here.
Very,
and the last Ghostbusters song that also came out this past week, which we didn't specify, was performed by
Fall Out Boy
and
featuring Missy Elliott.
And I was very not feeling that version of the song.
Yeah, so if you guys don't care, for those of you that don't care for the Fall Out Boy version, go to Sony Japan's YouTube channel. It's on there. It helps. It really does help.
Yes.
Okay, so moving on to some other movie news. So Pacific Rim 2 is still happening. We can confirm that. The only problem is it's not going to be coming out in 2017 anymore. They've pushed the date back even further to 2018 on February 23rd. So that'll be opening around the time that Marvel's Black Panther comes out. It's going to be a little hard for it to make bank around that time. You know, opening even that close to a Marvel movie, I'm worried about it. Because you remember when the original came out, it got eaten up by friggin', of all things, Grown-Ups.
Right.
Or Grown-Ups 2 was one or the other. Point
Whatever,
being,
that franchise.
That franchise was able to blow it out of the water. Hopefully, this move back is a positive thing. I'm trying to remain hopeful. They are getting ready to start filming, so they are moving forward with this. They're still committed, but I can't help but be a little bit worried about that.
Yeah, it's a little disappointing.
Yeah.
Disappointing.
We're hoping on that. Okay, so moving on to some Japanese musical news. So, Sailor Moon's next installment of the musical. Of course, we talked to you guys before that they had gotten a brand new cast. Now we actually have a picture of them there in costume. This next musical is going to be entitled Sailor Moon, Amor Eternal. I have no idea what that translates to. I don't speak Romance languages. It's terrible. The school system failed me. Eternal love, that's what it means.
Yes, thank you.
But yes, there you go. You have the full cast there. The costumes have been just slightly touched up, but more or less it's what you're used to from the last 2 years of Sailor Moon musicals.
Yes.
Okay, so moving on to some other adaptation news there. Netflix has announced that they have officially begun production on their adaptation of Death Note.
Okay, that's
so they've started there, and of course
it's a North American adaptation.
Yes, a North American adaptation to be released on Netflix. We have some confirmation of the characters' names. The main character, Light, is going to be known over here as Light Turner. Of course, in Japanese, he's known as Light Yagami.
Right.
L is still L. There's a character of Mia Sutton, who I assume is the equivalent for Misa Amane, you know, the other holder of a Death Note. L's butler, Watari, surprisingly has no change. He's still known as Watari over here. Mm-hmm. Fair enough. And then there's another...
He's also still an Asian.
Yes.
He's the only one who is still an Asian.
Yeah.
Granted, everyone else is a smattering of different ethnicities.
Yes.
So clearly they're trying to make it a little more ethnically diverse.
More multicultural,
but
yes.
Slightly more. I mean, most of them are still white, but there's...
Well, L's African-American now,
yeah.
So that's a very interesting choice. I'm waiting to reserve judgment until I see some sort of a trailer or something like that. But I am very interested to see how Netflix is going to handle this. Of course, we were worried for the longest time, are they actually going to go through with this? But here it is. It's happening right now.
Yeah. Before you move on to the next story, I want to say thank you also to another subscriber, the Obtruse One. Thank you for subscribing during this. I don't know whether or not you're actually in here, but thank you for having done so. Please continue.
Yes. Okay, moving on to some other anime news here. So we got a couple of Digimon fans out there in the audience. We know that. Digimon Adventure Tri, the most recent release from Digimon, is actually getting dubbed, with a lot of the original voice cast coming back to dub it, and that dub will be premiered in U.S. theaters for a One Night Fathom event on September 15th.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they're actually doing that. I mean, I know that there's a lot, there's a very hardcore fan base when it comes
very strong fan base, yes.
to Digimon. I just didn't realize that there was enough to have a full-on screening of this, but that's actually really cool, I think.
Oh, it doesn't shock me that there's enough to have a screening. Not at all. It was big back in the day when it was, on television, airing here. It was big.
But admittedly, it's been a while since, I can't even remember how old I was when I saw Digimon the movie in theaters. And that's been a while. Like, I remember I didn't, but a friend of mine, he had the clamshell copy of it.
VHS, yeah.
Yeah, but it's been a while. So, very much... I don't know if maybe we'll catch that.
Maybe. I was not a big Digimon person. I cannot pretend that I was very largely into Digimon.
I was not the biggest Digimon person, but I was more into Digimon than I was into Pokemon. So I'm a lot more familiar with this story than I am that one. But yes, definitely check that out. Coming up in September, you got time to reserve your tickets, so get with it, act like you want it. Okay, so moving on to some Power Ranger reboot news. So, of course, we reported to you guys last week the major news that Bryan Cranston had been cast in the role of Zordon for this reboot movie. He has since gone on in a in an interview with Entertainment Weekly to say how exactly that's going to work out. It will be a combination of CG and motion capture. So
that doesn't surprise me.
That's where I figured they were going to go with it. So probably there's enough manips online. You go on Instagram or Tumblr, you can see how more than likely he's going to look. Just Heisenberg, no mustache, no glasses.
Yeah, very, very clean and smooth.
And a little wrinkly.
For a little droopy-faced, yeah. It's kind of smooth for having droopy face.
And in a related story, which I'm not sure how I feel about, executive producer for pretty much every series, Haim Saban will be getting a star.
Isn't it Haim? But okay.
Whatever. Saban will be getting a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Yay!
I just don't know how many producers are getting, in that same press release, you also hear that, Dwayne The Rock Johnson, Dwayne Johnson is going to be getting his star. That makes sense.
But Donald Trump also has a star on the Walk of Fame.
But that has since been defaced.
Yes, but you miss my point. He's not really an actor. He's done reality TV, and he has paid his way into cameoing in 2-3 movies and WWE for a second. Now Saban, he's a rich mofo. Okay,
yes, no denying that.
I'm saying that it seems very plausible that you can easily buy your way into the Hollywood Walk of Fame, if you ask me.
I don't have a problem believing that. I really don't.
Yeah, he's way too rich.
Okay, so moving on to some Tokusatsu news. So we have more pictures coming out for this upcoming Kamen Rider Ghost summer movie, which of course will premiere the first weekend of August. And we have a look at a new character for the movie. Of course, we've already seen 2 characters. Here in the picture above, you'll see the latest villain character for the movie. And I don't know what made them think this was a good name. His name is Kamen Rider Extremer. That is the translation.
That's more extreme than extreme, Josh. It's extreme-er. Yeah,
it's extreme-er. You've got, Kamen Rider Double Cyclone Joker Extreme, but this is Extremer. He's the next... He's more extreme to the Earth degree. If that was a thing you could add on there. He's got kind of a weird shape to him, too. That cloak makes him look like he's got longer arms than he does.
Well, it also makes him look like he's gonna walk around kind of more like a camel, where you, move
a little lanky.
Both your arms and your leg together at the same time.
Yeah.
Rather than staggered your left arm with your right leg and vice versa, you move your left arm.
And it's not the worst design in the world. I just would have done something different with that coat.
Yeah.
It is really the bigger thing. Moving on to the upcoming Drive Saga movie, Kamen Rider Heart / Kamen Rider Chaser. We have our first confirmed pictures of what Chaser Mach and Kamen Rider Heart will look like. On the right there, you'll see Chaser Mach. This is simply just Kamen Rider Chaser suit with some blue and a little bit of purple trim. Really, it's nothing more than a repaint. And that monstrosity on the other side is Kamen Rider Heart, which is quite literally just Kamen Rider Drive type Trideron's costume with a couple of different plates and a new mask, kind of looking more like his Roy-Mute form. I can't say I can really get behind it since it is so obviously just make him a new helmet, man. I don't even care. I'm done with this. Yeah, because the antlers are present there in his Roy-Mute form, but I've seen so many different toy manips of a much sleeker design for what this should have looked like, and I can't help but think, Bandai, Toei, why didn't you take a look over there?
Yeah,
that would have been so much easier to do, and that was a kit bosh. You could have totally done that, just a mishmash of what you already got, but no, you had to... The one time you try to be original and you come up with friggin' Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer over here.
Yeah.
Bambi's dad. Way to go.
Alright, before you move on to the last one, I want to thank Crimson Master 803X also for your subscription. Woo! Not sure if you're here, but thank you, please.
Yes, and the last bit, we can confirm that we were hoping this month we'd get some sort of confirmation. We at least got a confirmation kind of in Square Enix style. They confirmed this month that next month we will get to see officially what Kamen Rider X-Aid looks like.
Okay. We're kind of sitting and waiting, thinking, so this is going to be game-related somehow, right? That's the that's the anticipation anyway.
I'm willing to say right now, if I like the design from first sight, I will try and build that thing and take it to MagFest since he's gaming.
Okay, that makes sense. That's totally fair.
That makes sense in that sense.
Yes.
Sense. I just had to say it again. All right. That's it for the follow-ups. Let's get to our first story.
All right. First one is what? Independence Day?
Yes.
Yes. Regurgence.
Regurgence, yes. Can we just call it that, Regurgence?
Sure.
Okay, so Independence Day Regurgence came out this weekend. We saw it. My dad very much asked that for Father's Day, in lieu of a gift, that he be taken to see this movie. My dad just likes mindless action movies, so I happily obliged. As a fan of the series, like I'd been saying, I've been very cautious about this going into it. We're not here to review it. We just have to talk about it just for a second.
Yeah, I didn't like it. You tolerated it better than I did.
I can at least say that with full conscience, I tolerated it. I didn't really hella enjoy it like I was hoping I would.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I enjoyed the first Independence Day movie. I don't think I enjoyed it to the extent that you enjoyed it.
No.
But it's not like there's nothing about the first one that I dislike, because it's just silly, stupid action schlock for the sake of silly, stupid action schlock. And
yeah, it's a popcorn movie.
Yeah, that's all it is. And like, I'm okay with it, and I can sit and watch it once every couple of years, you know, it's fine. And so I go into this, and quite frankly, nothing about the way it was being presented, the way it was being billed for the last couple of years made me really excited about it. Nothing did.
No, we were worried about it from the first time we covered it here on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And going into it, I can at least say there were problems with pacing, there was problems with characterization. It didn't nearly have the scope that the original had, because once you've already done all that, then it's old hat. Then what do you do? What are you left with? And they tried to fill in the gap as best as they could, but it felt like the narrative for the 2 hours... For starters, it's 25 minutes shorter than the original movie. And then on top of that, because of that, I think, as well, everything felt very rushed. It was just one thing after another, and you didn't really feel like you lingered on anything long enough, like in the first one.
Right.
But as a result, you look at the box office for this weekend, they did not come in first like, you know, they were hoping for over at Fox. They came in second to Finding Dory.
Well, maybe if they'd actually released it on July 4th weekend...
Yeah, like they did with the other one.
Which would have been, you know, the smart thing to do.
Yeah, if you guys had waited a week, like... Really, what were you going to do? Were you really worried about the competition that Swiss Army Man was going to bring you? Like, those are two completely different movies. Completely different audiences.
I don't know. You're hearing the reviews of Swiss Army Man.
Well, actually,
very good.
that's a very good point, because as a comparison, because it's coming out this weekend, Swiss Army Man, which looks very odd, is getting incredible reviews.
And it already was at what was it, Sundance or some other film?
It was at Sundance.
Like people already knew about this movie, and so maybe Independence Day, these guys are like, well, we already knew this movie existed, and it already sounds great, so we better not compete against it.
Which just makes... If that's true, then they knew what they had on their hands.
Uh-huh.
Now, of course, as a result, Roland Emmerich has said, oh no, we've totally set up a third movie in this one, which they did. We can confirm that. We saw that. And we're going to be telling a bigger story about people going out into space. Now, this isn't a spoiler. You can read this in the interviews that have been given with Roland Emmerich. We're going to go out into space, and we're going to have all these different people coming together to defeat these harvesting aliens, and it's going to be great. And I'm over here thinking about it, having read that and seen the movie, and think to myself, so you're just making Mass Effect 3 the movie.
Yeah.
And if you go to see the movie, you'll understand what we're talking about. What they set up is basically the beginning premise of Mass Effect 3. But as such, when you look at the numbers, 41 million is very measly compared to the original.
Well, it's certainly not a July 4th weekend sort of numbers, because they didn't put it on July 4th. I'm sorry. Like, that makes... It would have only made sense to put it on Independence Day.
No, that made total sense. Like, why would you botch that?
Yeah.
You knew... You got it close, but you didn't go that one extra week. You almost had it. And then what happened? I mean, yeah, there's a potential chance that they could make some more of their money back, but most outlets are projecting that they're going to see, both here and worldwide, at minimum 50% drop in sales because of the reviews. Now, this thing, put this in perspective here. Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows, 37% on Rotten Tomatoes. This mofo, 31%. You got outdone by the CG Turtles.
Now, I mean, how much do you trust what people say on Rotten Tomatoes? But it is a pretty good smattering of different people's opinions. So it's just, I don't know, difficult for me to trust those sort of review numbers, percentages sites.
Well,
you know?
really the question is, one, can they actually get their sequel done? Because admittedly they're making more money overseas, but that's projected to drop as well, and they only made so much back. I think, based off the projections, next weekend they will just barely break even. But that's not a success.
No, it's not.
That's just hedging your bets, like, okay, you're not broke.
Right.
But for Fox, that's not looking very good. And really, when you look at it as a whole, you know, like we've been saying, we've been questionable of this thing going into it, and then coming out of it, we were, I guess, justified in our questionability, because you saw what they put out there. It didn't nearly, how do I even say it? It didn't wow.
Well, I mean, I can give a whole lot of reasons, but I hate to turn this into a review, because I really don't want to review Independence Day for you guys.
No, not at all.
Except that, it's not like the first movie was really real or anything.
It wasn't deep.
No, it wasn't deep.
But it was fun.
But you're missing, you're stepping over what I'm trying to actually,
okay.
The point I'm actually trying to make. When I said real, I meant, like, there were real locations, there were real set pieces, there were actual sets, and, like, really, you couldn't get a real desert. Like, you had a real desert in the first movie.
Yeah, you're out there in the salt flats.
And you couldn't go back to the desert. You had to have a group of people that are obviously on what looks like a CG matte painting.
I mean, what do you call that? Like Attack of the Clones syndrome?
Kind of, yeah. I would say like 70% of this movie is in either really tight, close quarters, or for some weird reason, like, you see people just floating on these backgrounds. Like, you're looking over Bill Pullman's shoulder and you see this group of, like, 3 soldiers just standing on what is obviously nothing, and it just blew my mind. I was so disappointed. But, like, that was one really big thing. And then you got characters that, like, why are you even there? Your part totally and completely doesn't need to exist.
Yeah.
But
we'll get into more of that in the post-show. You guys can go ahead and ask us more for us to go into detail. But really, the thing going into it is, one, do they really think that they're going to go ahead and get that sequel now after this? Even if they teased a third movie, I don't think that's any sort of guarantee, especially with these numbers. And two, I would really hope that this would make people reconsider, you know, these like 15, 20 year later sequels, maybe we shouldn't do them.
Yeah.
Maybe we should leave things better off alone. Maybe we should knock it off. Maybe we should listen to how much money we're losing. Maybe we should have listened to the warnings that, hey, you guys are going to lose a lot of money because this isn't a good idea, and why didn't you release this on July 4th? Maybe this will talk some sense into people. Sometimes you got to let the kid touch the light socket. That way he can learn.
No,
I'm just saying, sometimes.
I would sooner let the kid touch the burner than the light socket, but, you know.
Well, I mean, it's a kid, so which one's he going to reach easier? I have a point there.
Okay.
But yeah, honestly, it's kind of meh. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty meh.
And its results.
And it shows.
Its results worldwide are looking pretty meh too. Even with the money it's made internationally, like you said, it's just kind of not enough. And next weekend, in a few more days, it's probably still not going to be enough. So.
Yeah, it'll probably do a little bit better, but no, I'm imagining Dory will still win. Things in the Water will win this weekend. That's how I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead and let's do away with that.
Okay, I'll do my best.
All right, and we'll move on to our second story, which I'm actually happy to report about. Vampire Hunter D. All right, so I don't know how many people out there are familiar nowadays with D, with Vampire Hunter D. We were talking about this.
Move your head for a little bit.
So you can see D's head.
That's just an example of the art of this comic that is being proposed over Kickstarter. This Kickstarter is supposed to be for a comic to be released in North America based on a short story written by the original author of the Vampire Hunter D novels, of which there are 20 some odd, I believe, novels within the Vampire Hunter D franchise.
Now, admittedly, I haven't read all of I've read like really 2 of them, but they're so
and not all of them
beautifully written.
I don't believe they've all been published in North America.
I know a good chunk. I think like 8 of them That I'm aware of, because I remember...
26 novels have been published. 26 novels. So, and the series is about this Dampier, so a half vampire, half human, who is in the business of hunting vampires.
It simply goes by the name D. He's usually seen as being very lanky, wearing dark clothing, this wide-brimmed hat, having this giant friggin' long sword. Well, not a long sword, more like a rapier, a long rapier.
So after the books, there were 2 animated films made, one in 1985, and the other one was in the early 2000s, Bloodlust, Vampire Hunter D.
Yes,
Bloodlust.
and both of which I believe have gotten their HD remakes out on Blu-ray now. I remember back when I was in high school, when I was just getting into anime, I saw in our local newspaper an advertisement for Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust in theaters. It was like for one night only, and I couldn't make it out there, but I remember clipping out the picture of it because I had never seen anything like it before. It's something so... Really, it was beautiful. The art there was beautiful, and then, about a year or two later, I got to rent the DVD, and I fell in love...
Right?
Of Bloodlust, specifically, and I fell in love with it, and then... Going back and watching the original movie, while not nearly as pretty looking, it's still a good story.
Oh, they're 2 very wildly differently animated pieces because they're they were animated 20 years apart from one another.
Yeah, and that's since they're completely different animals.
Yeah, absolutely. So the 85 one is very 1985, which I think is very, very fascinating. That, and realize that the original artwork is done by Yoshitaka Amano, who you'll probably more famously know for his artwork from the Final Fantasy franchise. He does the artwork for every single logo in the main numerical series. So his very lanky watercolor kind of artwork really comes through, and he did character designs for the first film, and so very lanky and dark, very Amano looking, and then Bloodlust continues on, and kind of, I don't believe Amano worked on that one, but they took that...
They took the influence.
That influence along with it, and so he looks very similar, just very, very cleaned up. And so actually that is one of the things that I'm not so sure, I feel kind of sad when I look at this picture of D here, and he doesn't look nearly as, Amano's artwork is kind of effeminate.
Well, admittedly, D kind of has, especially in Bloodlust, a very effeminate look to him. Almost, how would they say it now, non-binary.
Yeah.
Which is kind of the appeal there. You very much see it there in Amano's art, the blacks blending into kind of a blue shade on his cloak. And
I don't dislike this art, I just feel like Amano is so tied in to the look and the feel of what Vampire Hunter D is, especially because he did the artwork for each of these novels also.
Right.
It started with Yoshitaka Amano, and so that's the only real complaint I have about this, but I'm definitely not sad that somebody's trying to bring over this story, because this was an otherwise unpublished story. It's not in a novel. It was only released at some sort of Japanese festival.
The original author, Hideyuki Kikuchi, he had written another manuscript that never really got published for D.
But like I said, it was released at a festival, so some fans got it.
And now these people over here in America are looking to develop this story, which is entitled Message from Mars, which...
The original story was apparently called Message from Cecile.
But the adaptation over here, the comic, will be entitled Message from Mars. Now, if you go over to the Kickstarter site, I'm happy to report that it's gone up since I first looked at it earlier today. They've almost raised half of their goal of $25,000, and they just started today.
That's pretty good. It's pretty good.
So, there's a lot of fans out there who want this.
I know it's very difficult in this post-Mighty Number 9 age to want to talk about backing certain projects. I don't necessarily think that one mishandled Kickstarter should necessarily taint the rest of the good projects.
Well, really, I wouldn't even compare the two, because you're talking about really 2 completely different properties. You're talking about a video game there which had a history from the creator of, hey, I've had all this work, help me make this thing, and then of course it falls flat. Whereas here, we only have a handful of any sort of material out there, just 2 movies and a bunch of novels.
But no, this is the same thing though, because it's still backing a thing that is unsure. This is still crowdfunding. This is still the exact same conversation, and even more so, like, people trusted Inafune. They trusted him because they thought, man, this guy was ganked over at Capcom, and we all really friggin' want this, and we've been wanting this. Let the guy make the thing. We really trust him. And then a lot of people felt like they got stabbed in the back. Whereas this, people weren't clamoring for the existence of this. I think it's great that it's happening, but one, nobody was clamoring for the existence of this, and two, nobody previously involved in a Vampire Hunter D production of any variety is working on this.
Well, aside from Hideyuki Kikuchi, of course, giving out the manuscript.
Yeah, which existed already. So.
But point being, you can go ahead and give over to this Kickstarter. We've got to look here at the backer
Rewards,
perks here.
yeah.
For $5, you get the first issue. That's the basic one.
Mm-hmm.
That I think is good enough right there.
It's a PDF copy. You don't get the physical copy until you give 20. But and you'll get one wallpaper for the $5. So okay.
That's basic enough. I've paid $5 for a PDF.
Mm-hmm.
It really was for costuming stuff and design. But here, I'm getting a beautifully full animated comic.
Stand still. It's not animated.
I mean, not animated, drawn.
Yeah,
that's what I meant.
drawn.
But yes, you can move up from there to the $9 one. You get a comic strip and 3 wallpapers with that. Move up to $15, you get stickers. Some people really like stickers.
Uh-huh.
I'm not gonna complain about that. Another $20 one will get you a variant cover if you specifically ask for it.
Mm-hmm.
Some people really dig those. Then you move up to the $25, different variant cover. You can go all the way up to, what else we got here, $35. You get 3 mini prints featuring the 3 main characters of the series. And then, let's see, how high does this go?
Oh, it keeps going. It just keeps going and to 8,000, I want to say? Yeah, 8,000.
Let's see, your likeness is featured throughout the comic book, and you get to be killed by D in the comic book. Now that's... If I had the money to let myself get killed in a comic book by D, I would pay that. But I'm not balling like that.
Yeah.
But I would love to have that chance. But really, for as far as the basic thing to get you in there, because you think about a lot of the lower tiers that we've seen in Kickstarters, $2, $5, it's like, thanks. And that's what your $5 gets you.
Yeah.
But here at the start, it's like, oh, you gave in for this comic, you get the comic.
Yeah.
Right there, right off the bat. I'm cool with that.
Really, physical copies of comics go for what, $3.99, I guess.
Yeah.
I suppose it's really not so bad when really what your money is actually going toward is the production to make the thing exist in the first place.
Right.
So getting a PDF of it, I suppose, is fairly reasonable.
Now, what's interesting here that some people were pointing out earlier is that there's some interesting stretch goals for this, and one of them being if they hit $50,000, they're going to create a Vampire Hunter D Pathfinder role-playing supplement.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
I've played some Pathfinder before in the past.
Now, does that sound like something you would be interested in, seeing them get that far?
Somewhat. I mean, we still don't have very steady role-playing groups, so if I don't have a steady role-playing group, it doesn't really matter.
I will make one to play this, because honestly, I love the world that Kikuchi has created with Vampire Hunter D. It's very, for lack of a better term, it's beautiful for what it is, for the darkness, for it really capturing what I think the essence of what the term gothic actually means, where it's not just, eyeliner, Hot Topic, and all this stuff. No, it's very grandiose while still being a little morose and dark and telling... I think I'm trying to remember the name of the first novel I read. There's this beautiful forbidden love story in there that D gets caught up in the middle of, and he's just really watching it as it unfolds, and like, well, I'm killing vampires because that's my job, but I'm saving you, but you can't be with this person because they're a vampire.
Isn't that just bloodlust?
Well, actually, no. Actually, it was the third. Now you rekindled my memory. That's the third novel that was released, which is actually the manuscript that they used to make the plot for Bloodlust.
Okay, see, I haven't read
But
the novels,
it's a little different, though, in the novel.
Mm-hmm.
It's close, but it's not quite. But yes, of course, you can go ahead and look over on Kickstarter, find this, give your cash, get $5. I can do $5. Anybody can do $5. Mostly.
I can't.
Yeah.
I'm broke, Josh.
We'll fix it.
Okay.
We'll fix it.
Okay, we can get a copy.
We can get a copy.
Get a copy.
Yay! I just got
Yay.
a comic. All right.
All right.
Okay, so yeah, go ahead and head over to Kickstarter, check it out. Definitely, if you haven't seen either of those movies, do yourself a favor and check those out.
Yeah, you don't necessarily have to like it, but these are Vampire Hunter D and Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. I feel like are entries within anime as a whole that are kind of a historical. You need to see this in order to understand the movements that anime was making. And in fact, Vampire Hunter D was perhaps one of the first really big movements into older teen, into adult oriented anime.
And the good thing about either one of those films is you can watch either one of those films separately, not knowing anything that's going on, and just get put into the story.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't need any previous knowledge, just go in and enjoy this work.
It's kind of like James Bond.
Kind of, yeah, in that respect, yeah.
Just because he kind of moves on from place to place, and the new stories
From adventure to adventure, yeah.
And in that sense, it's kind of like Mad Max, you know, because he just
I would
meets
closer
new people, and an entirely new story unfolds in front of him.
Actually, I'd closer liken it to Mad Max in that respect. So yes, definitely go check that out.
Yes.
Okay, so this third story, you're gonna have to handle this one because I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around it.
I get it. It's weird. So Twitch now has social eating as like a thing that you as a specific category.
Okay, talk to me here because all right, Twitch, right? You stream games.
Yeah.
You play games. You watch other people play games.
This is really funny to me though because Twitch was spun off from Justin.tv.
Right.
And then they shut down Justin.tv. And Justin.tv, much like Ustream or other similar streaming sites, had a huge variety of different categories of things that you could stream. But then when Twitch was making bank, they shut down Justin.tv and just purely focused on Twitch. And so now you got Twitch, who's mainly there for gaming, but then they brought along creative, right? And the creative category makes enough sense, I guess, because people want to stream, but they don't want to stream video games all the time. They're like, hey, I'm working on a comic, watch me draw.
Makes sense.
Watch me make costumes.
That makes sense.
Arta Wigs uses it to
style their wigs.
Show costuming and styling their wigs and stuff like that.
See, that stuff all makes sense because that's a craft being performed in front of you. With a game, that's entertainment. You're watching something being played in front of you. With the creative portion, hey, I can look at this and actually learn something from it. Like, I can learn how to style that wig. I can see, oh, that's how you made that armor piece. That makes sense to me. But then you got this.
Well, okay, so people were trying to get away with eating under the creative, what's the word I was just using? Category. Under the creative category, but like, that's against Twitch's terms of service because it's not gaming and it's not creating something. Now, you could cook under creative.
Okay, cooking I would understand.
This is specifically mentioned in Twitch's terms of service. You could cook, and then eating what you were cooking has to be like the bare minimum.
Like a taste.
The thing I made sure is good. Now you guys go out there and you try and make it yourself. But then people were like trying to get away with eating under creative, and they're like, we can't do this. But see, there's a thing that's happened since about 2010 in South Korea. There is basically a streaming category called mukbang, which literally translates to eating broadcast. So sometime in the 2010s, this became popular over there. Because
okay, so we have to blame South Korea for this.
Basically, yes. So the idea is that in South Korea, eating is a an incredibly social thing, right? I had to do a whole bunch of reading on this. It was an incredibly social thing, and to eat alone is kind of sad. And so what they then began doing was streaming themselves eating so that they kind of didn't feel like they were alone, and it became a social thing. And then it further progressed from there to a point where it has become more about eating really large quantities of things, and it evolved from there, and so it became huge in South Korea. And get this, I think about this.
Do I have to?
Yes. So, South Korea, what else is huge in South Korea? StarCraft, alright? Twitch is already making bank off of competitive gaming and streaming, right? And where is competitive gaming and streaming really big? Also, South Korea. So what else do they want to get in on is mukbang. Is this...
No, see, logically, what I think you would get in on from there, if you're talking about competition and you're talking about streaming eating, I thought you were going to say competitive eating, because then, at least then, it's a contest, it's entertainment. But at this point, like, I don't get... Okay, because... Let's get past this. That's South Korea. Now you can do it over here. That's the bottom line. You can do that over here on Twitch. You can watch people. If you go right now, don't go right now if you're watching this live. Please stay here. We've only got a few more minutes. If you're watching over on Twitch, you can watch somebody just eating... What were you showing me as an example earlier? Panda Express?
Yeah. Right now, someone is eating 40 chicken McNuggets. This guy's in Texas. He's got a Whataburger stream going on. Somebody is eating pineapple pizza and buffalo wings.
Like, I'm gonna be that guy, Kaylin. I'm gonna be that guy. What is the merit in watching somebody eat? Like, one, I think that's creepy. Two, okay, I get how it works in South Korea. You did your homework. You explained to me, all right, it's a social thing. It's a societal thing over there. I totally get that. That's their society. But over here in America, where we've got all these creators and gamers streaming and trying to make themselves known and famous, allowing people the opportunity to just eat on camera and think that they can gain notoriety from just eating Panda Express is probably the laziest thing I could ever think of doing on camera, aside from sleeping.
Apparently some South Koreans are in fact making bank doing this. I'm serious. This is a thing that is happening. This is why I made that tweet last night. It was a joke, but I'm starting to think, oh man, maybe I'm missing out. Maybe I need to go get my Reese's Puffs tomorrow morning and stream that like, hey God, this is awesome.
It's like, am I too old? Like, does anybody out there remember the skit Tom Green just eating Cheerios for like 2 minutes and doesn't say anything? Does anybody remember? We've seen this stuff before. It's been there. It's done. We passed that. We moved on to other things. Why, then, do we need something like this social eating?
Mac and Cheetos is a thing being streamed right now.
Yeah, the thing from Burger King right now.
Well, what else? See, here's Korean stuff popping up right now. See, the Koreans are already jumping in on this. Motley Pizza. And then somebody saying they're not buying Mac and Cheetos, so that part doesn't make sense. Homemade pasta shells? Raw cookie dough?
Now, see, this
is a news story about raw cookie dough. See, it like causes cancer or something? This just came out like within this past week.
You're just gonna ruin my life like that and tell me I can't eat raw cookie dough on air. Man, you played me cold right now. I can't believe
Really, in the grand scheme of things, there's not that many people
this
streaming.
More than anything, because you say yourself you can't watch people stream gaming.
I really can't, no.
Because what's the reason you give every time?
So, like, I would rather play the game myself, because it's boring to watch somebody else play it when I would rather be doing it myself.
Same deal right here. Why would I want to watch somebody eat raw cookie dough while I could be eating the raw cookie dough myself? Like, why would I want to watch somebody else having that pleasure that I could very easily have? I don't need skill to eat raw cookie dough.
Right now, only 28 people are streaming themselves eating something currently. I just want to point that out. Like, it's only been out for like 2 days, and it is not quite
Like, I really hope it doesn't catch on. Like, the guy up top eating Whataburger. I had Whataburger before we started tonight. I didn't need to friggin' stream it. There's no point in that. What were you gonna get? It was there and it's gone. I eat fast. Whatever.
Like, I'm seriously tempted to test this.
Just to see what would happen.
Yeah, I am. Because, like, oh, well, now it's a thing I can do, I guess. Let's do it. here I go.
But
cereal.
that's how some people get into drug dealing. Well, this is a thing I can do.
Well, this is hardly the only really bizarre thing that Twitch has decided they needed to implement this week. They also added microtransactions and new emotes and stuff.
See, this I don't get either.
So there's a new emote called a cheer, and the cheer is this weird, funny little animated exploding diamond thing. You type \cheer into the Twitch chat, right? And there's this little explodey emoticon thing happening, and you're supposed to like reserve it for the people that you're like really excited to see, like maybe they're competing or something, and you're like, yay, I want to cheer you on.
Because I remember earlier this week I saw this in action. I was watching, Jared, he was playing Overwatch for the first time, and I saw people cheering him.
Yeah, well, that costs money, Josh.
Yeah, that's what I didn't get. Like, you gotta pay to do that?
Yeah, you
like,
do.
I can just type in yay. Can I do that? Can I still do that?
Yeah, you can still do that.
Okay, then I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna save my money.
But a cheer...
I mean, nothing against Jared, I just, I'm being cheap.
A cheer, to quote Twitch, a cheer is a chat message that uses bits, which are evolving animated emotes that you can buy. You purchase these bits using Amazon payments, like let's make this a little more difficult, why don't we? And you'll find how much it costs. For 100 bits, you're spending $1.40. For 500 of them, you're spending $7. For 1,500, you're spending $19.95. For 5,000, you're spending $64.40. For 10,000, you're spending $126. And for 25,000, you're spending $306. So you run out of cheers eventually. You're paying for each cheer that you're giving out, so it's not like this renewable thing. Like, Twitch is just making some really strange decisions.
I managed to look a little bit into this too, and I found a very interesting parallel. So apparently this system of cheering is very similar to some adult camming sites, where basically you buy a currency that you give to the performers, and people very quickly run out because they like cheering for what they see on screen.
But that's the thing, though. It's not like the performer on Twitch here. It's not like they get anything. Like, they don't see the money being spent on the cheers. They just see the explodey icon. Maybe if they're looking at their chat while they're playing their competitive sport, which I highly doubt they're doing. Like, I occasionally look at my chat because, like, I'll maybe get, like, we got 30 people in here right now, and I can stop and casually look at the chat, and the kind of games I play are not super competitive or super action-oriented typically, and I can stop and I can look, and I can keep up with my chat. But when there's, like, 10,000 people in some really famous esports person's chat, and you're playing something like League of Legends or
Overwatch,
or maybe Overwatch, really more like strategy, real-time strategy
like
games. Dota, League of Legends, StarCraft 2, you're not looking at your chat box. And then there goes somebody's cheer.
Okay, so where does the money go?
Twitch.
So the performer doesn't get any of it?
No, what the performer gets is the cheer. They're paying to cheer for the person with
So let me get this straight. Icon. It's not even like the porn site. You're paying to use an emote, and none of the income goes to the performer?
No, the performer...
Then why would you do that? You're throwing money away. Like, seriously, why would you do that? That is quite literally throwing your money away.
Yeah.
It's not even a matter of, oh, hey, I really like what you're doing. Here's $5.
No, it's more like I like what you're doing. Let me throw glitter into the air.
But it's not glitter. It's like ripping up a 20 and throwing it into the air as celebration. That 20 can be exchanged for goods and services. Why would you do that?
So that's what we've got now. We've got exploding money, and we have...
People, don't encourage cheering. The money's not going to the performer. Don't do it.
And we have social eating. So that is now happening on Twitch.
Okay, the only thing I will give it, and I'll barely give it that because I know we're out of time, if you were going to cheer for somebody eating, one, that's kind of creepy. Yeah, that's right. Take this money. You eat those Cheerios. You eat those. But the thing is, that person's not getting any more money, so they can't use that money to buy more Cheerios to eat for your enjoyment. Doesn't make sense.
Show's over.
Show's over. Get out of here.
Alright. Thank you, guys, for hanging out with us for this whole hour. And if you're still here with us live, thank you so much. Continue to stick around with us. We can totally keep going off about social eating and about cheering, maybe.
Or Independence Day regurgitation.
For the next 30 minutes during the Q&A time. But if you're not here with us live, next week is going to be your last opportunity of the season to come out and visit with us on Thursday night at 9 p.m. Central. It's going to be your last opportunity to get in with these awesome people and do Q&A with the both of us.
Beyond the Black Rims was filmed in front of a live audience.
Somewhat.
Well, they're alive, mostly.
They're really there, yes.
Yeah. But during the week, you can always talk to us over on social media. On Twitter, I'm at Josh Knight First.
And I'm at Mars Girl.
And that having been said, this is tonight's episode of Beyond the Black Rims. We'll see you guys again for the season finale next week.
All right, good night, everybody.